What's going on, YouTube? Welcome to the EndZone. Y'all comment down below if y'all can hear, if my audio sounds clear and crisp to y'all. We have an exciting show for today. A lot happened in the United States Football League. If you didn't catch my rankings, by the way, you should go check out that video. Got some XFL content coming, Major League Football. Plus, we got to still do a bunch of United States Football League stuff, and the CFL season is starting up as well. There's just so much to talk about right now in the spring football world. So let's start by answering some of your questions. I'm going to wait to see if anybody has commented down below. Okay, loud and clear. Sweet. That means we are going. So first questions for the mailbag. This isn't really a question, more of a comment. So I'll highlight it. I wonder how successful the USFL will be. Well, they're already at week 4, on the way to week 5, about to be halfway through the United States Football League inaugural season. And I guess that's an accomplishment in itself, despite a lot of things going wrong, namely the microchips in the football, things like that. They've been able to pivot and make a really good product on the field. One awesome thing about the USFL that I've noticed when compared to other leagues, almost every single game has been extremely close. We haven't had many blowouts, many even 2-score games. Almost every single game is competitive and close, even between the bad teams playing the good teams. It's really fun. So that's all I'll say on it. I hope the USFL is successful, because I hope that these players can get a league that sticks so they can have a career. All right. Here's a real first question. Ryan, Fast and Furious. Do you think the Stallions go forward with Alex Magoo or go back to Jamar Smith when he is healthy? Well, I think that the Stallions go back to Jamar Smith when he's healthy. I mean, we saw it in week 1 when Jamar Smith came in the game for Alex Magoo. Things turned around because of his ability to use his legs. He really opens up the offense. And while it may not be pretty at all times, I trust Jamar more with the ball than Alex Magoo. Watching, especially last week, it felt like if Jamar were in the game, it could have been different. They could have had more opportunities. It's not a knock necessarily on Magoo, but Jamar Smith has familiarity with the offense because he has been under Holtz for his college career, basically. He's got a one-up on everybody else, and I think that's valuable when brought to the table. I do like Jamar Smith in the position. I love to hear y'all's comments down below, whether or not y'all think Jamar Smith or Alex Magoo should start. So definitely interesting, and it could be a quarterback battle as the season goes on. But remember, Jamar Smith out with an illness. We'll keep an eye on that. An illness, it could be multiple weeks. So we'll see. Troy Sapper Sausage Trump. Yo, first time here. Thanks for stopping by. How do you think of Kyle Sloter's performance yesterday? So Kyle Sloter now is, I think as of 2 weeks ago, leading the league in passing yards. So overall, he's been one of, if not the best quarterbacks in the league. It's still hard to say who is that number one guy. Whereas in the XFL, in the Alliance of American Football, it didn't feel like the teams were as close to each other talent-wise, and it felt like there were guys when we were watching, we were like, oh yeah, he's going to go to the NFL. With the USFL, it's kind of hard to tell. Like it's honestly been extremely competitive and not very easy to see who could be that guy. But if anybody is that guy to make the jump from the USFL to the NFL, it's Kyle Sloter. Now we're talking about last week's game. Going up against one of the best defenses in the USFL and Kyle Sloter, 26 for 42, 61.9% completion percentage, 397 yards, averaging 9.5 yards per attempt, 1 touchdown, but then the 3 interceptions is where you'd like to see some improvement. Now, Sloter's also playing with tons of injuries. It's not just one injury. He has multiple injuries. I would love to see the turnovers cut down, but guess what? Kyle Sloter also threw the game-winning touchdown pass when it mattered most to Jonathan Adams. And I liked how he trusted Jonathan Adams to go up and get that ball. That's what I want to see more of, trust in Jonathan Adams when Jonathan Adams is in the end zone, because he's so much bigger. I love his length and also his ability to jump and catch the ball with his hands. Jonathan Adams is a force to be reckoned with in the USFL, and I loved how they went to him on the final play of the game. And I think we'll see more of that connection, and I think Sloter's going to improve. He's playing against a tough defense. They're without TJ Logan, one of their best offensive players. So we'll see what happens going on, but I felt that his performance so far this season, and even yesterday while I was up and down, threw the game-winning touchdown. So he rose to the occasion, and that's something that's really good. Tons of questions about Peacock, and I see a lot of comments down below about Peacock. Why does the USFL have games exclusive to Peacock? I feel that it makes it worse for them because more people, including me, can't watch the game. You know, I did subscribe to Peacock. Actually, I think I've always had the subscription to Peacock. It's $5 a month, if I'm not mistaken. But it brings up a good point. But I think what they're hoping to do is just bring a couple customers to the streaming platform. Do I love it? Not necessarily. The broadcast isn't as good, but it's football, so I'm going to watch it. I will say this. They definitely close off some of their fans from watching games. And it's unfortunate, but you know, maybe you can find yourself some not so legal streaming services to stream those Peacock games. I'm sure there's somebody on the internet making that happen. How much of the bad kicking in the USFL is because of the lack of talent? How much of it is because of the tracker inside of the football? I think that there are a lot of things. Now, they got rid of the trackers for the special teams, and I think they may have gotten rid of the trackers as a whole, if I'm not mistaken. But that definitely hurt the kickers when the trackers were in the football. No doubt about it. Do I believe that there is a lack of talent? Well, it's weird because you have a guy in the Birmingham Stallions kicker who has never even played football before. He's a former Notre Dame soccer kicker. That's pretty incredible. He's been the best kicker in the league, really, Brandon Aubrey. So I really do not know. Part of it also is that they only had 3 weeks. Most teams don't really have special teams coaches working with the kickers one-on-one. They're kind of just left out there to, I don't want to say figure things out for themselves, but it's very different and a unique situation. It's kind of unfortunate, but the kicking has been up and down. And also, there have been a couple windy days in Birmingham, so weather affects it a little bit, but still no excuse for some of the kicking. We'll see, because there are good kickers in the league who have played well in other leagues. They just haven't had too much success in the USFL, and I think it's a lot of things being put together for the reason. I don't think you can blame it on one certain thing. Funny name. Where's a good spot to stream USFL games? I miss how the AAF had all their live games on YouTube. Well, did the AAF have their games live on YouTube? Was that the AAF, or were those illegally streamed? I'm not too positive if I remember that, because I remember AAF had games on NFL Network, TNT, I think CBS Sports. Good spot to stream the USFL games. I'm not really the streaming expert, but I'm sure you can find it on Reddit or go to the Discord and figure it out there. Damian Tolley, what do you think about the XFL? I'm excited to see what the XFL does. They've had a lot of cool stuff come out. I don't know if anybody saw that preview video that they did from when they were in Dallas having those meetings with all the coaches and personnel of the league. I think that the XFL is set up for a good season. It's going to be interesting to see how they match up against the United States Football League, assuming the USFL keeps going. We don't know. They still have to get through the season. So everyone wants to talk the battle between the two leagues. The battle's started, but it's far from over. We still don't know what is going to happen in the future. And part of that excites me because there's a little bit of mystery and, we do not know. As far as the leadership, I'm okay with it. I thought it was good. I'm not really a hater of the logo. I feel like it could be a little bit more, but, to me, it's just a logo. I don't put too much thought into it. But yeah, I mean, if you have any more specific questions about the XFL, I can definitely answer them below if that didn't really answer what you were trying to get. Jared, comment about Peacock. I watch Peacock and liking it more and more since I got it. Yeah, I mainly used it for The Office. That's basically it. Haven't really watched many shows on it, but now I'm watching the USFL on it, so good investment. Do you think Hawaii will have an XFL team? I don't think they will. That would be very tough. That would not only just having a franchise in Hawaii, but having teams travel out there and having the Hawaii team travel to the main land of the United States would be so expensive. I mean, you can see how much it costs for the University of Hawaii to play college football. It would cost so much for the XFL to do that. I think that they're really just using Hawaii as a prospect camp because of the connection, because of The Rock. And I love that because there are a lot of talented players there, but I don't think that they'll have an actual team there. But it could, they could build fan bases over there with the camps and try to get some local guys into the league. And I'm all for that. All right, getting through. I'm a little behind on some of these questions. Jared, do you think that the USFL changed to a running clock even with the incomplete pass for the first and third quarter? Or do you like that the USFL changed the running clock? It's really weird. I'll say that. It caught me off guard, but I understand why they're doing it because they're trying to get the games in quickly in those windows. I like how they were transparent about it. That's what I'll say. Even if you don't like the rule change itself, you have to respect that they're being transparent. And that's really all I care about is that they're transparent about what they're doing. That to me is the main thing. Do I love the rule? No. But I 100% understand it. And I'll say this. I'm glad there's transparency for it. It's a weird rule, but it is what it is. Do you think the USFL will actually play in February? And will they have any teams on the East Coast? East Coast is cold in February. Well, yes, I definitely think that they will play in February. If they didn't play in February, I don't know what they would do. Wait. Yeah, so I'm trying to think East Coast. I mean, I don't really want to speculate on this. I guess I should speculate because it's fun. But I think we'll have East Coast teams. But now with 3 Texas teams supposedly joining the league, we're definitely going to get less on the coast just because there are 3 teams in the middle of the United States. So we'll see what happens. And then obviously St. Louis is coming back. So that's basically half the league is in the middle of the United States of America, basically, with Texas. And then you have the St. Louis Battlehawks, which hopefully they keep the name for them and some of the identities. We really don't know, but like they'll definitely have at least one or two East Coast teams. Um, I would say, trying to think where my best bet would be. I don't know. I'd have to do more looking into all the XFL stuff. I've been less on the XFL as of recently because, I mean, the USFL is in season, so I've got to focus on the USFL right now. But they'll definitely have some East Coast teams. What are your thoughts on the 2 QB system the Generals are using? Well, what are y'all's thoughts on the 2 quarterback system for the New Jersey Generals? Do you like the way they are rolling? If it were me, I would go with DeAndre Johnson. It feels like the offense runs smoother and is better as a whole when he's in the game, especially because they can control the ball, they can control the clock, and they can run the football. He has been dealing with an injury, as we saw in his last matchup, and Luis Perez came into the game. Luis Perez is not a bad quarterback at all. He's actually an awesome quarterback to have on your roster. A lot of people were wondering why he was not drafted in the USFL draft. Maybe he wasn't in the draft pool. That could be a reason why. And he wanted to join, I guess, when somebody got cut just to see how the league. I mean, it's all speculation. We don't know. But if I'm the Generals, maybe I'm trying to trade away one of those guys and get somebody else. But we haven't seen any trades. That's also the thing. I wonder, I mean, we don't even know if you can trade in the USFL. So we'll see what happens. But I'd prefer just one quarterback. And that quarterback, to me, would be DeAndre Johnson. Jason, another great question. And do we know what the Rock's CFL connection will mean to the upcoming XFL? Well, we had the talks between the CFL and the XFL occur quite a couple months ago. And, you know, they're just aligning to help football as a whole. Doesn't really mean too much, honestly. I don't think that the CFL and the XFL will really honestly work together. And I don't know if the XFL, definitely not in the first season, will go into Canada. It would be very tough. And I know that the CFL would not be too happy about that. It's a league that's trying to get better and improve, had a couple off years. And, you know, I think the CFL and the XFL both have things that they internally need to worry about and fix on their own before trying to come together. Gregory Crawford, excellent, excellent, excellent comment. I don't think the Stallions are undefeated if they don't have the fans there. There's just a different energy when you go to the games, and you see it with the players, and being on the other team is just demoralizing. And I've said this multiple times, and I've even joked with my friends. It would be awful to be on any other team other than Birmingham because everybody in the state hates you. Everyone in the stadium hates you. You don't have any fans at any of your games. And the games in the year where you're playing the Stallions, everybody really dislikes you. Like whenever something good happens, or for the opposing team, it's dead silent. Whenever something good happens for the Stallions, you can barely hear anything because it's so loud, and it would just be tough. It would just be tough. Yeah, the Stallions do. Now, I don't know if you're talking about just like the stadium presence or the actual play on the field, but they do look good in prime time on the field, and the stadium looks good. It looks like there are a lot of fans there. I've been to, I mean, pretty much every Stallions home game, so every game, so 4 weeks. I mean, it's not really saying much, but I don't know the numbers of how many people are at the stadium specifically, like counted out. But when I'm there, it feels pretty packed and a really great atmosphere. I didn't watch on USA Network on Friday night. What did you think of the USA Network having a 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time start time? Well, I thought it was weird, but I was in the game. I was at the game in person, and I enjoyed it, although I was incredibly tired because it was very late when the game ended. I don't remember what time it was, but I remember rushing home just to get in bed because I was so tired. Hopefully, they don't have too many more late games like that. And it's weird that they would do that late game on USA Network. I'm sure there are many valid reasons as to why they did this, but I wasn't necessarily a fan of it because 10 o'clock at night, as Damien comments here, it's too late to play. I'm too tired by then. All right, looking through some more questions. Looks like we got one. I need an XFL team to complete my unholy trinity of villainy, as I'm a Raiders and Bandits fan. Do you think the XFL will have a team that can complete that? Well, the Renegades, right? Is that kind of the theme you're going, like a rebelistic type deal? I think that the Renegades are pretty, cowboys, a lot like the Bandits. Honestly, that's not a bad team to root for, especially if Stoops is your head coach. So I think you're in good hands. You've got some pretty solid teams to root for, especially, the Raiders this year. I know we don't talk much NFL, but that will be fun. Do you think the XFL champion should play the USFL champion? I don't think it'll ever happen, but I would love to see it. I think most people would agree with that. The rules will obviously be different, but still, it would be fun. Love to see it. All right, looking through some more. Damien, NFL related questions. I know we don't talk too much NFL, but this is a mailbag. Y'all are free to ask whatever you want. I honestly didn't pay too much attention to this year's draft because of the USFL. I was too into the USFL to really pay attention to this draft. It was actually kind of fun not being able to pay attention to the draft because I was really occupied with the United States Football League, and that made it really exciting for me. But I had a great time, as I am a Chargers fan, just watching the draft, worry-free, not really super involved in it. But yeah, I don't know how hopeful I'd be for the Giants. I've had Saquon Barkley on my fantasy team for a couple years now because it's a keeper league, and it's been tough. Let's just say that. It's been really tough. So tough I lost and had to spend 24 hours in a Waffle House. But yeah, Saquon's been a disappointment. Jared, do you think the XFL should go to Denver, Colorado for a new team seasons down the road? Do you think the USFL should pursue the city seasons later too? I don't really know much about Denver to give you an honest answer. I've been once or twice. Really cool city, but I don't know how their fan base would do. I really couldn't give you a great opinion on that, to be honest. So would it be cool to see an XFL team in Denver? I would say it would have to be seasons down the road. There's nothing that has told us that they would play in Denver for the inaugural season of XFL 3.0. Do you think the USFL should pursue the city seasons later too? 100%. They gotta get out of this hub model after this season. They've got to. This is a great question. Zell_live1. Why do spring leagues go into NFL cities? I don't really know. Some of them are big enough, but there are also some cities that you question, like Los Angeles and the XFL. Tampa Bay, I wasn't too much of a fan of. But you have to remember, those cities were chosen mostly for, LA, the TV market. And, Tampa Bay, they wanted Orlando, but the Alliance of American Football had already gotten to Orlando and already had everything lined up. Then the AAF folds, and the XFL already had plans for Tampa because they couldn't get into Orlando, but they're moving to Orlando. So it's more complicated than just picking the right city. There's also stadium deals and contracts that they have to go through. New York was interesting for me. I also think that's more of an LA type thing where you want to capture the TV market, but they could have played in a soccer stadium to make it look much better on TV and get more fans out to the games. It was weird having it at MetLife Stadium. Wasn't really too much of a fan like that. But then again, like Dallas fans showed out, Houston fans showed out, DC was really great. I think that it's not as black and white. There are a lot of different markets and unique markets in this landscape that we'll see. I think that the league that is able to blend the NFL cities with the cities that really crave football will be a league that can have, sort of diversity in their fan bases and get more fans in the stands. And I think that's really, really what they're looking for. Do you think Slaughter will go back to the NFL? Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because he's still got a whole season to go. I wonder about these injuries, though, that they're piling up on him. You got to wonder if he's going to stay healthy. I think that's the main thing. All right. Ranthony Jones, what's your most likely USFL players to go to the NFL after this USFL season? All right, so I've got a couple. I would say so. Donald Payne, Chris Odom, Will Likely. I know I'm only naming Gamblers defensive players, but they've been really incredible. I think Davin Bellamy will get a shot. It's tough to know if DeMarcus Gates will get one. You see a lot of these guys who've been going from the AAF to the XFL now here, a lot of repeats, and you wonder if, they're going to really be able to make it into the NFL. Frank Ginda has been fun to watch defensively. Quarterbacking wise, again, it feels like it's Kyle Slaughter or bust. I don't know anyone else in the USFL quarterback wise that can make, maybe if a team wants a Taysom Hill like player, DeAndre Johnson. But that also, it just feels like a long shot. There are a couple running backs that you could make an argument for. Jordan Ellis has been playing well. Mark Thompson, Reggie Corbin, Darius Victor, Trey Williams. I'm really just going through the list. The running backs have honestly, this is what I'll say. The running backs have been the most impressive thing in the United States Football League thus far. We have not seen a spring football league where the running games have been so dominant and fun to watch. And the running backs are very diverse in their skill sets that they've sort of made it for the USFL for me. I don't know if y'all have made that connection, but yeah, Aubrey, the Stallions kicker, is going to the NFL. We'll see. It's tough for kickers because there aren't very many spots. All right, we're coming down to 2 minutes. I'm going to try and get through as many questions as I can before we hit 6:30. Do you think the USFL will give any team besides the Stallions a primetime Saturday night game? No. They want the crowd on primetime. All right. Looking through these questions. The old XFL had New York, New Jersey Hitmen and Chicago team. Do you think The Rock will bring back those major U.S. cities? We'll see. Definitely New York, New Jersey team in year one, not Chicago, but Chicago could be down the line. What do you think about all the project The Rock does, movie investments? I wish he could focus strictly on the XFL. So I've voiced my opinion on this multiple times. I think it's Redbird Capital doing most of the legwork. The Rock is really the investor, the face, but that doesn't mean that Rock isn't putting a lot of time and effort into it. Do I worry about this? Yes, but I think that Redbird is getting it done. Why don't spring leagues go in cities without NFL teams? Kind of covered this a little bit, mostly because they're just not big enough. So I see Russell in Denver. I think everybody is, except for people who don't like the Denver Broncos, I guess, or Russell Wilson. Looks like Mike G, 990,000 for Saturday Fox USFL game, early figure. Official ratings out tomorrow. As long as it's around 1 million, I think the I'm sorry, I'm reading some comments from Gregory Crawford. Sean, just breaking, you may want to verify. Bo Scarborough to the Birmingham Stallions. All right, I'm going to have to check on that. But thank you for the comment. That would be awesome. Will the USFL and XFL have drafts every year? Yes, they will have drafts every year, hopefully on TV and streamed for the USFL. All right, I think we got through all the questions, but I'm going to check and see about if I see anything from the USFL on Bo Scarborough getting signed. If that's true, that would be awesome. I don't see anything on my Twitter, but my internet's really slow right now. Okay, well, I see all the tweets on the USFL ratings. Looks like Fox Sports 1 had 207,000. Not surprising. Fox Sports 1. And that was also the 10 o'clock game, so terrible time. Of course, that didn't rank well. Well, guys, I loved having y'all on. It was very fun. Thank you so much for joining. Make sure to like, subscribe, and comment so we can move the chains.